Well, they tell me that you will be starting school real soon. Like tomorrow? Are you starting school tomorrow? Saturday? How many of you starting school Saturday? One little girl starting school Saturday. Anybody starting school Sunday? What comes after Sunday? Oh, Monday. How many of you start school Monday? Ah, quite a few of you are. You know, sometimes when we start school, it's like really, really hard, isn't it? It's a new grade. How many of you are going to be in a new grade this year? And it's going to be new, and how many of you think maybe it's going to be harder? It's going to be quite a bit harder. You know, sometimes boys and girls look at a challenge. They look at things that maybe are ahead and maybe things that the teacher would ask them to do that they've never done before, maybe some kind of a new math problem or an English lesson or something like that, and they just think this is too hard. And they might say, you know what, I just can't do it. Sometimes we look at things that people might, grown-ups, our parents or teachers might ask us to do, and we say it's just too hard. It's just not even possible. I can't. Anybody ever say the word I can't? How many of you know that there's something very, very, very simple that you can do to change that word and make it a whole different perspective, a different outlook? You need to take one letter out of the word can't and it becomes something else. We're going to talk about that later. I need a helper right now. You look like a really nice fella. Hey, what's your name? Is that right? Have you had that name all your life?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Very good. Very good. Hey, I want to ask you a question. I have a note card right here. Do you think that I can cut a hole in this note card big enough for you to be able to pass through without tearing? Do you think I can do that? You say I can't do it? Well, let me ask these boys and girls, how many of you think that I can cut a hole in this note card large enough for this young man to be able to pass through without tearing? It seems impossible, right? It seems impossible. Well, I'm going to go ahead and try. As I was saying a while ago, there's an interesting letter in the word can't that if you take it out, it becomes something else completely different. And I'm going to take that letter out right now. I'm going to take that letter out of this note card, and it's just going to make all the difference in the world. You'll see. It'll, you know, how many of you said that I can't do it? I cannot cut a hole in this note card large enough for this young man to go through. How many of you think I can't do it? And you even said I can't do it, right? You said I can't. That's not possible, you said. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start by cutting a letter out. And if you cut a letter, could you hold this for a minute? If you cut a letter out of the word can't, I think this is the letter you should cut out. What is this letter? T. So let me ask you this question. If you cut the letter T out of the word can't, what does it become? Can. Boy, that makes all the difference in the world. What about if your teacher gives you some homework and it's kind of hard, and you go home and your parents ask you about it, and you say, I can't do it, it's too hard. What would happen if you took the letter T out of that word? It becomes what? I can. That makes all the difference in the world. Well, we've taken the letter T out. Would you hold that T? I want to ask you a question now. Now, do you think I have a hole large enough in this note card for this young man to pass through? How many of you think that I've got a hole big enough? You still don't think I have? What about you? Do you think I've got a hole big enough in this note card? Well, we've taken the T out of can't, and when we take the T out of can't, what does it become? Can. Can. I like that word a whole lot better. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and start cutting on this right now, because there's so many things that, you know, when we look at them, they look like they're really hard and they're difficult. And maybe some of you might even think that it would be impossible. It's just not possible for me to make a hole large enough in this note card for this young man to go through. But sometimes when things seem impossible, you know, we had a word up here a while ago. Remember, somebody unscrambled this word. What is this word? Christ. That's right. The Bible says with Christ, it makes all the difference in the world. With Christ, sometimes things that are impossible become possible. Well, let's go ahead and check it out right now. You think maybe now I've got a hole large enough for you to go through? I don't know. Let's check it out. Wait a minute. Oh, it looks like it's a little bit larger. Do you think it might be big enough for this young man to go through? Let's try. Okay? Let's see. Put your arms down. All right, can you step out? Can you believe it? He went through this note card without tearing it. Let's give him a real big hand. I want you to remember that. The next time you're tempted to say, you know what, it's too hard, I just can't. Oh, I can't. I want you to know that with Christ can make all the difference in this. There was a man who loved all kids, and Jesus was his name. He came to die that we might live. Jesus was his name. J-E-S-U-S, 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 and Jesus was his name. Now this time, for the first letter in Jesus, we're not going to say that J, okay? Instead, we're going to clap E-S-U-S, clap E-S-U-S, clap E-S-U-S. How many of you think you can do that? I think so. Let's try that. There was a man who loved all kids. Jesus was his name. He came to die that we might live. Jesus was his name. E-S-U-S, 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 and Jesus was his name. Now this time we're going to clap for the J and the E, okay? You ready? There was a man who loved all kids. Jesus was his name. He came to die that we might live. Jesus was his name. S-U-S, 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 and Jesus was his name. There was a man who loved all kids. Jesus was his name. He came to die that we might live. Jesus was his name. U-S, 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 and Jesus was his name. There was a man who loved all kids. Jesus was his name. He came to die that we might live. Jesus was his name. S, and Jesus was his name. There was a man who loved all kids, and Jesus was his name. He came to die that we might live. Jesus was his name. And Jesus was his name. You may be seated.